Hello, everyone. My name is Ole Kagan, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with LA County Library, and I welcome you to Work Ready, Building an Exceptional Professional Image. Before we get going with today's event, I'd like to take care of some housekeeping and tell you a little bit about the Work Ready program. And now I'd like to tell you about the Work Ready program. Work Ready started in December of 2020 with the purpose of helping people get a job, improve their work situation, and plan a more sustainable career path. We're doing that in two ways. One is we lend out Wi-Fi and laptops for 6-week loans out of 27 library locations, breaking down at least one barrier to applying for a job and getting online training. And the second is we provide virtual events just like this one on a wide variety of work-related topics, from the basics like resumes, cover letters, deep dives into various careers and other subjects to help you succeed at work. And you can see over 50 of those past presentations by browsing our work and career playlist on the library's YouTube channel. Just posted a link to that in the chat. The Work Ready program is made possible due to funds provided by the American Rescue Plan. And we have another great program available for you next week. Next Tuesday, April 23rd at 11 a.m. is going to be Work Ready, Avoiding Job Scams. So if you're concerned about staying safe online, especially when you're looking for a job, if you want help in learning how to be cautious online and figuring out what to watch out for, our program next week will give you all of that, complete with examples of job scams that exist out there in the wild. So you can sign up for that right now. I'm going to post that in the chat, and it's going to be again Tuesday, April 23rd. That's next Tuesday at 11 a.m. And just like all of our programs, it's absolutely free. And if you'd like to learn more about our virtual or in-person programs, head over to lacountylibrary.org. On the top right-hand side, you can click the events button. And once you click that, you get our whole calendar. Events for kids, teens, adults, older adults on a wide variety of topics, both in-person and virtual, from 85 library locations. And if you're only interested in virtual events like this one, you can go back to our website, lacountylibrary.org, and hover over that events button. You'll get a little drop down that says virtual programming. Click on that, and that'll just give you the Zoom events, also for all ages and also absolutely free. So if you're interested, definitely do that. Share the events on our playlist with people you think that they will benefit. All right, and now it's time to get going with today's program. And with that, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today. Jules Martinez Hirst is an etiquette expert and co-author of the book Power of Civility. She's dedicated to empowering individuals with confidence and social grace. Ms. Hirst offers modern manners classes and is dedicated to providing students and employees with tips and techniques to handle proper etiquette in today's highly competitive global marketplace. She has been interviewed by NBC Nightly News, ABC World News, KNBC AM 1070, Yahoo Shine, Bravo TV, and the Los Angeles Times, and more. For more information on Ms. Hirst, check out her website at juleshirst.com. But before that, we have Jules Hirst to present to you Work Ready, Building an Exceptional Professional Image. And with that, I turn the stage over to Jules Hirst. Jules, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who is here with us today. And thank you to the library for always having me. So let me get my slides going. And there we go. All right. So let me take my face out of the way. Okay, here we go. So welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from today. Again, I'm Jules Martinez Hirst, an etiquette coach dedicated to empowering professionals like you to navigate the complexities of modern professional environments with grace, confidence, and success. The essence of building an exceptional professional image lies not just in the clothes that we choose or the firmness of our handshake. It's an intricate dance of expressing confidence, competence, and credibility through every aspect of our presence. Why is this important, you might ask? Because in a world where first impressions are made in a blink and judgments are passed in the silence between words, your professional image can be your most powerful ally or an accidental enemy. So today, we are going to discuss the three pillars, starting with understanding the nuanced language of professional attire. We'll navigate through the intricacies of dress codes, and I'll share with you timeless tips to elevate your wardrobe in a way that respects your individuality while aligning the professional expectations. We'll delve into the art of confident body language, because did you know that what your body says speaks louder than anything that comes out of your mouth? Unraveling how the silent dialogues of our posture, eye contact, and gestures can speak volumes about our confidence and capability. Furthermore, we will explore the common pitfalls that even the most seasoned professionals fall into. From digital etiquette in our increasingly online world to the small, often overlooked details that can make or break first impressions. And we're going to cover it all. This webinar is just not about learning, it's about transforming. It's about equipping you with the knowledge and skills to not only succeed, but to stand out in today's competitive professional environment. So with that, let's get started. So again, breaking down the three pillars of building an exceptional professional image. Number one, enhancing professional image through your attire. We're going to understand the spectrum of professional dress codes. By this, we're going to be demystifying the often confusing world of dress codes. For instance, the difference between business formal and smart casual. This can significantly affect perceptions. A tailored suit might be the norm in certain finance roles, symbolizing sharpness and attention to detail, while creative industries may appreciate a well-coordinated, smart, casual look, reflecting creativity and adaptability. Again, we start to judge person the second we see them, and our mind will automatically, if we're going to see our accountant, we expect a certain look. If we're going to see someone who's going to create our website, we automatically, think that that's how they should look like. For whatever reason, it is what it is. So, strategic wardrobe choices. Learn how to curate a wardrobe that not only meets the expectations of your workplace, but also aligns with your personal brand. This is something that I get all the time. This is the dress code, but how do I still be me? So there is a way to do that, and we will talk about that. We'll explore examples like choosing a signature color. We all look good in a particular color, right? And that particular color, we put it on and it just makes us feel good. It makes us feel powerful, right? So we want to make sure that we incorporate some of that into our look, whether it be a business professional or a smart casual. So, and then the last one is adapting attire to different professional environments. Discover how to adapt your wardrobe in professional context, from client meetings, office days, to remote work and industry conferences. Because when you travel for business and you're at a conference, you're still on the clock. Even if you have to travel like via air, you're still on the clock. And how you dress says a lot about you and the organization you represent, whether it's your own company or you work for someone else. Perception is reality. I'll be saying that quite a few times throughout this presentation. Other people's perception of you is their reality. So, for example, wearing a well-fitted blazer over a casual shirt for a video call can bridge the gap between approachability and professionalism. So, just think back a few years ago when we were forced to do nothing but Zoom, right? Only online. And little by little, we started to dress up a little bit more from the waist up, right? So because there were so many people who were literally rolling out of bed and just going in front of the camera until that got addressed. Second pillar, commanding presence with confident body language. We're going to talk about mastering the art of posture and presence. Again, your body speaks louder than anything that comes out of your mouth. A straight, confident posture not only impacts how others perceive you, but also how you feel about yourself. And we're going to talk about that. Effective nonverbal communication, delve into the nuances of eye contact, hand gestures, and facial expressions that convey confidence and confidence. For example, maintaining eye contact that shows attentiveness while being confident. But too much eye contact can be a little, ooh, I don't know, weird because they're just locking eyes with you and they're not looking away and they're not blinking. So we want to make sure that we're doing a blend of the two. And last but not least, I forgot what one over here. And the last one here is navigating different professional settings with grace. From networking events to boardroom meetings, each setting demands a tailored approach to body language. So we'll talk about that as well. And last, avoiding common pitfalls. Number one, identifying and avoiding professional faux pas. So we're going to outline common mistakes that can tarnish the professional image, such as inappropriate attire for business. So you're invited to a cocktail event, but yet you showed up in a club attire. So we're going to talk about that. Number two, digital etiquette in the professional realm. Again, digital etiquette is here to stay. There is no getting around it, from text to video calls to emails to social media. Yes, your social media as well. So we want to make sure that your online image is in line with your offline image. And then last, we're going to talk about real world examples and solutions by examining real world scenarios. We'll illustrate how easily one can fall into these pitfalls and, more importantly, how to skillfully navigate away from them. So by the end of the session, you'll not only have a deeper understanding of how to enhance your professional image through attire and body language, but also how to steer clear of common mistakes that could undermine your efforts. So again, this is me. I've been teaching etiquette since 2006, and my passion is to help others feel confident in any situation, because that's all etiquette is. It's a set of guidelines that help you in any situation. You go to a networking event, you know what to do. You go to McDonald's, you know what to do. You sit down for a 7-course meal, you know what to do. That is the power of soft skills and etiquette. You know what to do and how to handle yourself in any situation. So let's get started with pillar number one, the art of appropriate work attire. So the first step in our journey to building an exceptional professional image. Let's unravel the secrets of dressing the part, decoding dress codes. Again, everything from professional to smart casual, and making strategic wardrobe choices that won't break the bank. Are you ready? Let's suit up. Number one, defining professional attire. Think of your professional attire as a brand book, right? If you go to the bookstore and you're going through the book aisles and you see one, you're going to grab it, or you're going to be gravitated towards it because it might have a swanky, a cute little name. It might have a really nice cover on it. Something is drawing you to that. Well, that's the same thing with your look. People, as soon as, like I said, as soon as they see you, people will start to formulate an impression about you. So whether it's the sharp lines of a tailored suit, because you're told to wear a suit, but you just went to the store, you picked one off the rack, you tried it on, it's a little big, but like, nah, you can get away with that. But yet your shoulders are doing this, they're coming down to here. You go to put your hand up and it's coming down to here. That your coat, maybe, there's a certain place where the jacket should fall and it falls below that. So even though you're wearing a suit and you're doing what you're supposed to, if it's not tailored, it doesn't have to be a perfect tailor, but it has to at least fit. That's one judgment against you. It could be also, maybe your dress code is smart casual, which could be jeans and a blazer. So that could also speak a lot about you. So the power of first impressions with the right attire, it sets the tone for first impressions and lays the foundation for fruitful professional relationships. So imagine walking into a boardroom, walking into a meeting, into a job interview. You not only know your stuff, right? You have the hard skills. You have the hard skills already, so you got this. But also you have the soft skills and you have the right power pose. You have the right body language and the right clothes. You are the perfect package. So that's what we are going to do today. That is going to set the tone for first impressions that lays the foundation for a fruitful professional relationship. Ongoing professional relationships. Over time, your attire contributes to your professional narrative. Consistently dressing appropriately for your role and industry reinforces your reputation as someone who respects their work and those around them. It's like telling your clients, colleagues, and bosses, I'm here and I mean business every single day without uttering a word. So let's get started. Here's a simplified guide to make sense of the most common dress codes. Number 1, business formal. Think of it as your best foot forward, a well-fitting suit, a crisp shirt or blouse, and polished shoes. It's the go-to for traditional industries like finance and law. So if you're told that we are going to have a company-wide meeting and you are to come for cocktail hour in a business professional attire, this is it right here. So now, colors are generally for men are going to be navy blue and dark gray. Black is generally not for business formal. Business professional, yes, but business formal, it's going to look like something that you see here on the screen. Navy blue, dark gray. It could have thin pinstripe, but you don't want something too lavish, too crazy, too loud. For men, depending on the era of the person that you are working with, once upon a time, business formal were only lace up shoes like the top picture right here. They were like your wingtips. Now you can get away with loafers, which is the second picture right here, as long as it's like this. They shouldn't have fancy logos or have a fancy, bright belt buckle on it. That's what you think of when it's business formal. Your shirts are generally going to be white, light blue, or pink. And again, your ties are going to be not too loud, not too crazy, but this is kind of where you can show a little bit of personality if you wanted to. It can have like a little light weave through it, but nothing too much. It shouldn't be something that calls out too much attention. But again, this is your business formal. Not too many places will call for this. What they usually call for is more business professional, which we're going to get into. But for women, this is your business formal. It's going to be, again, women can wear a black suit. The reason why men don't wear black suits is because they could confuse you with the limo driver. At least that's what's said. So that's why men generally in a business formal won't wear black. And for women, here we go. So again, it does not have to be. Gone are the days where we have to wear dresses and dresses only or skirts. We can wear pantsuit now. So like I said, for women, we can wear black. Same thing, dark gray and navy blue with a white blouse, or it could be a cami underneath. Again, if you wanted to show a little bit of personality, you could wear a nice simple necklace, nothing too big, nothing too long as far as earrings are concerned, but it would look something like this. Generally, for footwear, business formal calls for just a pump, closed toe pump like you see right here. Not a peep toe, not an open toe, not a wedge. It would be generally a 2-inch, 3-inch, not too high shoe, just like you see right here, closed toe top, not like the platforms that you see down below. That is not what you would wear. And another thing to keep in mind when buying your suit, you want to make sure that it is a complete suit and not mix and match pieces, because even black can be a little discolored. So you want to make sure if you are asked to do a business formal, that is the most formal of them all, make sure it's a matching suit so that the colors match and they're not, two different colors. And you can do that. You can go to consignment stores. You can go to vintage stores, secondhand stores. You can go anywhere to buy that first stapled suit, and you can just have it there and ready for when you need it. All right. Next, we have business casual, a smart blazer, tailored slacks, or a neat skirt paired with a casual shirt or top. This is where, we get to have a little bit more personality. We get to be relaxed a little bit more, but you're still not wearing jeans yet. We're still in that business casual. This could also be a business professional if you were to put a tie with this and not wear the tan and put black. For women, you can add a sweater, a cardigan. For men, you can add a vest over this. But again, we're not really wearing sneakers. As you can see, the footwear here, closed toe again. But again, this is business casual. But here's the deal. Once you get into a job and you see that everybody else, business casual for that firm might be jeans and a collared shirt, then you can go ahead and follow the business norm for that location. So keep in mind that what we're reviewing here is traditional just etiquette standards. Once you get hired, once you go into different companies, they may have a different version of what business casual is. Next, we have smart casual. This is clean, well-fitted pair of jeans, a nice top, perhaps a blazer to tie it all together. So this is a step down from business casual, but still requires a nod to professionalism. So here's the deal when you're told, oh, just smart casual, anything nice, nothing ripped, nothing this, clean. I would always recommend, if you're in an environment like that where it's left up to your interpretation, smart casual, like I said, something here in the pictures, to always have a blazer with you. And this is why, because you can't dress up something if you don't have a blazer. So let's say you're in a town where it's really hot. It is you're in the middle of summer. It is so hot. So you wear, maybe for women, maybe like a cap sleeve or a sleeveless top, or man, just a thin t-shirt. And then the owner comes in, or the bosses come in, or a VIP client comes in, and oh my gosh, and it's unexpected. And now you have to dress up. You want to take it up a level, but you can't, because you can't dress it up, right? But if you have a blazer on you, put that blazer on, maybe change that necklace out, maybe, change out the shoes if you have an extra pair there with you. And now you've just completely elevated your outfit. Whereas if you go already with those pair of shoes, and maybe you switch them out at work, you go with that blazer, but then you just take it off when you get to the office. You can always dress down. You can't dress up. So just a thought. Last, we have casual Fridays. So here's your chance. Woo-hoo, we've made it to the end of the week. You can breathe and show off more of your personality. However, remember, it's still a professional setting. Keep it neat, tidy, and respectful. So one of the questions that I will always get is, can I wear leggings? It depends. What your trajectory is when you are in a workplace. If If everybody else wears it, well, then you're thinking, well, why can't I, right? I mean, everybody else does it, even though it says in the handbook, if you got a handbook when you started working, that you cannot wear leggings, but yet everybody does, and your boss does, but not her boss, but yeah, everybody that's there on the floor with you say that they do. Always want to dress for the position that you want, not the position that you have. So if you're looking to move up that ladder, then I would say no, because every day, you should always be top notch. That doesn't mean that you wear a suit every day, but if you're fine wearing, leggings because everybody else does it, then that's fine too. It's a personal call. But my suggestion is, if your goal is to move up that corporate ladder, then look to see what all the higher ups are doing and what they are wearing. That's what I would model. So let's wrap this up with that portion with tips for elevating your professional wardrobe. Invest in quality basics. Again, go to a vintage store, consignment store, secondhand store, and get some quality outfits. Nordstrom has yearly sales where things are deep, deep, deep discounts. And I am a fan of this too. Amazon fashion, I will mix and match, but I have core pieces that are good quality. And then I will mix and match, put on blouses or different things. I will accessorize using Amazon fashion. So I don't just strictly shop at one place. I have a variety of things. I've gone to Walmart and picked up a blouse and put it under something, and it looks just fine. But you want to invest in quality basics. Accessorize wisely. Again, if it's a more professional, conservative company, then you don't want to wear something big, and I get it. I love my hoop earrings, but there is a time and place for everything. Mind the fit. So if you are wearing a button down shirt and it constantly pops open, that means that shirt is too small for you. You need to go up, or maybe there's something in the cut. Maybe that particular style just, isn't right for your body. Remember, not every item of clothing is going to fit every body type. So, that's something else you want to think about. And again, you can have one or two pieces that you bring out for those times when you need it. The same thing for anybody who wears skirts or dresses. If you're constantly having to pull it down, then that means that the skirt is too short. If you're constantly doing this with your blouse, having to pull it up, bring it up because it keeps falling down, again, probably not for workplace attire. Play with colors and textures. You've got to be yourself. Yes, you absolutely have to show some individuality. But remember, work requires a uniform. That's what our clothes are when we go to work every single day. If you're told that you have to wear a suit, that's your uniform for work. Period. If you're told that that you have to wear this outfit, that is your uniform. But this is how you get to play along with accessories. For women, you can wear a nice scarf. You can, like I said, the shell that you put underneath your suit, or the blouse that you wear can have a little bit of subtle colors. Same thing with men. Your ties can have a little bit of weave of color in it. That, except for those extreme business formal meetings, you probably wouldn't. But again, that's not going to happen often. So, and last, remember to keep it clean and keep it pressed. And I don't like to iron, so I have a steamer. And so as I'm doing things in the bathroom, I'm there with my steamer going down with my dress or my blouse. Because again, all of that, a perception. And once somebody's made a perception about you, it's really hard to change that first impression. And remember, first impressions are made instantly. The second that they see you, they're already making an impression about you. Now, it may take 10 to 15 seconds to be like, oh, okay, I was correct, or oops, I was wrong. I completely misjudged that person. So remember, the goal is not just to fit in, but to stand out. You don't want to just fit in. You want to stand out, but you want to stand out for the right reasons. Your attire is a powerful tool in your professional arsenal. So let's make every day a runway to your success. Pillar number 2, commanding presence with confident body language. How you carry yourself, the subtleness of your gestures, and the silent yet profound ways you communicate confidence and professionalism can truly set you apart in the professional arena. So let's decode the secrets of body language that commands respect and fosters meaningful professional relationships. You haven't said a word yet, but everyone in the room already perceives you as somebody confident and control. So when you walk into that meeting, all right, you don't want to be on your phone doing this, walking in, doing this. You don't want, right? You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to slouch down, have your things and cover your face. Nope, that's not what we're going to do. We are going to stand up straight. We are going to put our shoulders back. We are going to put our head up. Our chin should always be parallel to the floor. And we are going to make eye contact with everyone there. And we're going to, like, maybe if you're not speaking, maybe everybody's talking, but just a smile, a genuine smile. Good morning, good afternoon, hello, and you're going to go and you are going to take a seat at the table. So sometimes when you go into a business meeting, there's going to be a long table, right? And if there's a lot of people there might be seats at the table and then seats all around as well to kind of for the overflow, because there's not enough room for everyone at the table. Well, because you have, you're practicing your soft skills, you're going to arrive at that meeting early, because anytime you're told to be somewhere, if you're there, let's say the meeting's at 1 o'clock and you're there at 1 p.m., you're late. Being on time is at least no earlier than 10 minutes ahead of time. That's on time. So you're going to be there 10 minutes before. You're going to stake out a seat. You're going to sit at the table whenever possible. You're not going to have all of your stuff minimized right here, right? You're in and we sit down like this. Okay, so I'll sit at the table, fine, but I'm still going to make myself small by being like this. Sit up straight. Now, I'm not saying take up all the table, but put your papers out, have your pen out, and your space. And don't let that person who keeps pushing stuff at you, nicely kind of push it back. Own your space, command your space, take control. That is the power of positive posture. And that's, again, nicely with a smile. You're not going to tell somebody, keep your stuff to yourself. You're just going to lightly move it and put your arm there. Here's another thing with body language. Your hand should always be above the table, because when it's below the table, it can show a little, what are you hiding right there, right? But when your hands are up here, one, you keep control of your space. Number two, you can write, because if you want to be writing, taking notes, and you can keep your space right there. Influencing perception. Your posture is like a billboard advertisement for your confidence level, right? So if you see somebody who walks around like this, you think something about them. If you see somebody, again, shoulders back, head up, you think something about them. A slouch posture may broadcast insecurity or disinterest, while an upright posture signals confidence and engagement. It's about finding the sweet spot where you're not just seen, but remembered for your poised entrance. Again, you want to make sure that those first, seconds that somebody sees you are the right ones. You don't want to be, oh, I just got to finish this really fast. And then, no, by then people have already saw you and their wheels are already turning. Can you change that perception? Sure. Does it happen often? It could not, but why take that chance? Number two, maintaining a confident posture. Start by being mindful of how you sit or stand. Keep your back straight, shoulders back, but relax, right? We're not soldiers. We're not going to stand like this. And your chin up, again, parallel to the floor. This doesn't mean that you should stiffen up. Rather, adopt a posture that feels both comfortable and commanding. So when you're sitting down and you're at a chair, you don't want to lean all the way back and kind of slouch down like this. Number one, it breaks our posture. Number two, our voice isn't as projected because now you're curving this and it just looks kind of like it's laid back, kind of like disinterested. So you never want your back to reach the back of your chair. So if you're sitting down right now and your back is to the chair, let's do this together. Sit up straight. The lower part of your back can touch the back of your seat, but the upper part of your back should be away. Shoulders back, chin parallel to the floor, and 2 feet planted below. That is a powerful, confident posture. And this is what you want to do every single day. And then eventually, as we're working, we start to slouch back down. But then, whoop, remember, posture check. Maybe put a little notification in your calendar. Posture check, because after 21 days of doing this, it becomes a habit. So practice this posture until it becomes second nature. Like I said, 21 days and something becomes a habit. And watch as it positively influences not only how others see you, but also how you feel about yourself. You'll be surprised just by doing this, how you start to feel more confident. And even if you say, well, I'm already confident, what's wrong with a little bit more confidence? Nothing at all. So let's talk about non-communication cues. So your body speaks a language all its own. And mastering this language allows you to convey layers of meaning without uttering a single word. So let's explore how to harness the nonverbal cues to reflect confidence, openness, and professionalism. So for example, has this ever happened to you? You're standing there with your arms like this, which again, you don't want to do this body language because it tells somebody to stay away from you. So if you want someone to stay away from you, then stand like this. But if you're, let's say, at a networking event and you want that open body language, you want to show that you are open to receiving and to communicating with others, then you want to keep an open stance. But so back to my example. So you're standing there like this, and maybe you're doing this, you're doing that. And then someone says, what's wrong? Nothing. Okay. And then they ask you again, what's wrong? Nothing. I said nothing. Gosh, now I'm really mad. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Again, like I said, this is telling somebody stay away. You're doing this with your face. That's showing somebody that something is wrong. So maybe here something is wrong. Maybe you had, a conversation with someone. Maybe you saw something that you didn't like. Maybe you were scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, and you saw something that just stuck with you, but not in a good way. That is going to show. So the next time somebody says what's wrong, before you start snapping back at them, stop and take a look at what your body is doing. Look, especially if you're an animated person and everything shows on your face, you want to make sure that that you take stock of what's going on with you, because your body, like I said, speaks louder than anything that comes out of your mouth. With eye contact, aim for a natural engagement that invites conversation. It's all in the eyes. So here's the thing that you don't want to do. So again, let's say you're at that networking event, right? So you're talking to somebody, yes, but you don't want to just be staring and staring and staring at that person, because at some point it just becomes like, ooh, just like blink or something, look away. So you can look away, come back, look away. What you don't ever want to do is pick up your phone and start doing this. Not that kind of looking away. So no. But what you can, again, look away and then come back, look down, look at them. If you're not comfortable making and maintaining eye contact, then what you want to do is look right here in the center of the eyes, because then it looks like I'm looking at you, but I'm not really looking at your eyes. And for some people, they're shy. Or, because again, of lockdown, we got used to just staring at that little green dot on our computer. If we even did that, a lot of times people have their cameras off. So we need to go back to some of those old-fashioned social skills, like making eye contact. And again, if this is something that you're shy or you're not comfortable with, then look right here, and that will give an impression that you are looking at them. Okay. Number 2, your gestures. So when you're talking, let's say that you were at a live event listening to someone speak. And if they were standing up there, not using, their voice is going up and down. So you're able to kind of uh, stay with him or her because their voice is doing a little bit of this, but they don't move their arms. They're just standing there like that. And they don't really move their body. So there's for 2 hours, you're sitting there listening to them. And they're just standing and talking like this. He or she is just talking, not smiling, not moving their mouth, just their voice is going up and down during the conversation. You would be like, oh my gosh, get me out of here, or you would, because you're nice, you're polite, you're going to stay there, but you're already thinking, what's for dinner? What am I going to do next? How much longer? When can I get out of here? Let's see, where's the quickest way out of here? So you do have to use your gestures. Just think about when you're talking to a friend. When you're speaking to a friend, you don't just stand there with your arm to your side, right? I mean, you actually, to make that point, you might use your hands a little bit. You might say, oh yeah, just, it's down there a little bit, or I'm not sure, or your hands, that you use your hands when you speak. But what you don't want to do is be doing this or be doing this or be, all kind of just like going all over the place and going really fast, because then their person is like trying to keep up with your hand and doing this, and they're not really paying attention to what you are saying. So controlled gestures are the key to adding impact without distraction. Especially, let's say you have to you're giving a presentation. Again, when you're practicing your presentation, video, or you're going for a job interview, record yourself when you're talking. Just because you're sitting down and you're keeping your arms, as we already learned, you're keeping your arms above the table. So you're putting your arms here. That doesn't mean that they stay here, planted down. They're not glued down. You can use your hands and bring them back down, but you don't want to be doing this. So again, if you record yourself, turn the volume off and just look at your body, because your body is going to say so much about you. And that's where yes, they're going to listen to what you're saying, but they're also going to be looking at what you are doing. Facial expressions. Your facial expressions should align with your message. Again, back to my example. What's wrong? Nothing. Well, yeah, I'm saying nothing, but my voice has changed. My nose is doing this. And I'm like, oh, my whole body language has changed, but my face definitely has changed. So nothing is wrong. That's, now maybe you'll believe me. Well, maybe not that one, because I sounded a little sarcastic, but your facial expression should align with your message. That's why when we say smile, it needs to be a warm smile, a genuine smile. It's not smile, right? You don't want to do that. I mean, that's not a genuine smile. Do you believe I'm happy and I'm warm and inviting? No, I look like I'm bizarre, right? So you want to make sure that your facial expressions align. Effective professional interactions. Every professional interaction is an opportunity to leave a lasting impression. Whether it's a high-stakes interview, a critical meeting, or a casual networking event, the right body language can make all the difference. So in interviews, enter the room with confidence. So, the power pose. Before you go into that interview, go into the ladies' room or gentleman's room and get into the stall and stand like Wonder Woman or Superman. Just how do they stand? They stand with their feet slightly apart, their hands on their hips, and they have that perfect posture. And give yourself those affirmations. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Do that for a few seconds, maybe up to a minute if you can. And then carrying that confidence that you just pumped yourself with, carry that into your interview or anywhere you need to make a good impression. Right? Offer a firm handshake and maintain positive eye contact through the conversation. Again, don't be weird and just stare without blinking, but you do want to maintain the majority of the conversation with your eyes. Show enthusiasm when nodding and smile, and position your body to face the interviewers, showing your full attention. Again, you don't want to be sitting over here. You don't want to be sitting like this. Sit up straight, face to face, shoulders back. And when like you're talking to a friend, use that same energy that you would with a friend. Number two, when you go to meetings, like I said earlier, claim your space at the table. Sit up straight and engage actively with speakers through nodding and eye contact. When it's your turn to speak, anybody have anything else to add? Add something. Don't just sit there, and let everybody else talk, because people are looking, right? The higher ups are paying attention. Um, and then again, when you're speaking, don't just talk like this, like you're not sure of yourself, because you are sure of yourself. You're there. You got this. And then lastly, network. Oh, back to the meetings. If it's an online meeting, keep your camera on. And I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times. So here's 1,001. Keep your cameras on. Answer questions. And just because you're talking on a camera does not mean that you can just slouch around. No, still maintain that positive posture that you had that you have while you're in person. And the last thing we're going to talk about here is networking events. Approach individuals or groups with a confident stride. Again, that same way that you enter everything else is the same way you're going to enter that networking event. You're going to offer a handshake, engage with open, inviting body language. So one of the things that people often say is, well, who do I know? I don't know who to go up to, or I want to talk to that person, but he or she is in a group, with other people. Well, a networking event isn't a time for you to catch up with your friends, right? If you're going to do that, then go off to the side. But if you're in the open floor and there's and you're there to network, and you have identified who it is that you're going to talk to, as long as their body language is open, go for it. Go stand near them, and then they're gonna look at you, but be ready to go with your handshake and everything else. So mastering the art of body language is like learning to play an instrument, right? It takes practice, but over time it becomes a natural extension of your personal and professional persona. By being mindful, that's step number one, is remembering that you need to do that. Again, posture check. Have you slouched back down again? If you have, let's sit up, 2 feet on the floor. Do not let your back touch the back of the chair, 2 shoulders back. And if you can, your chin should be parallel to the floor. By being mindful of your posture, your nonverbal cues, and the way you engage in different settings, you're not just communicating, but you're actually connecting. So let's make sure that every gesture, every glance, every stance counts as we build a professional image that speaks volumes before we've even said a word. Pillar number 3, navigating professional pitfalls. Okay, so this is a fun one. Embarking on a professional journey is like navigating a sea filled with opportunities and challenges. While we've armed ourselves with attire, right? We have a good handle of the different dress codes, and we have a good handle on body language necessary to make waves. It's crucial to be aware of the icebergs, the common pitfalls that can sink our professional reputation before we've had a chance to truly set sail and get going. So let's chart a course through these treacherous waters, ensuring smooth sailing ahead by identifying and avoiding common mistakes and mastering digital etiquettes. That is like the big one where people seem to go wrong. All right, common mistakes to avoid. Professional environments are diverse. Oh my gosh, professional environments are diverse and ever changing, but certain missteps seem to be universal. Recognizing these and knowing how to steer clear can significantly impact your career journey. Number 1, over promising and under delivering. Every workplace has its own cultural and unwritten rules. Misreading them can make you stick out for all the wrong reasons. So, over promising and under delivering. So it's natural, especially when you get that job, right? It's natural to want to impress and be that yes person. I can do it. Sure, I can do it. By this, I'm sure I can do it. Who needs to eat, right? Who needs to sleep? I can do it. I can. No. Because that, when that happens, and you're not realistic and you take on all of those extra responsibilities, remember that you still have your regular job functions. Remember that you may or may not have a family and family duties that you have to also, take into consideration. They want you to come in this weekend. Yes, of course I'll do it. But and at that particular moment, you forgot that you're in a wedding or going to a wedding. So when they come and ask you, can you do this? We're looking for volunteers. Of course, this is your time to shine and to show what you're really made of. However, let's give it a second so that you actually have a chance to think about, okay, what projects do I have going on right now? What outside obligations? Maybe you don't have a family, but you committed yourself to help out at church or a volunteer organization, right? You already have outside commitments that you've already made. Technically, whoever you've made a commitment to first are the ones that should, you should keep those, because all you have is your word. So but you also have to think about it. Could this really boost up my career? And I said I would just go see somebody, but I can go next week to see them, I don't know, play baseball, let's say. So, that you have to, you'll have to weigh out, but do not overpromise and underdeliver, because it will follow you, especially if you do it once and twice and 3 times. It's better to surprise someone with over delivery than consistently disappoint them with unmet promises. Neglecting professional development, but that's not you, because you're here today, right? So stay curious and committed to lifelong learning, right? It's a fast-paced professional world. Resting on what you already know and being like, oh, that's okay. I don't need to know that. And I'm thinking like AI, right? Oh, no, AI. Oh, no. I don't need to learn AI. Well, yeah, you kind of do, depending on what job market you're in, because will it completely take over everything? No, but time and time again, it has shown how it can make everyday tasks a little bit easier. So instead of ignoring it or being like, oh, it's too much for me, grab it, learn it so that you can add it to your arsenal of skill sets that you can do. Last here is ignoring workplace culture. Every workplace has its own culture and unwritten rules. Misreading them can make you stick out again for all the wrong reasons. Observe, listen, and ask questions. Adapt your behavior to fit in. I'm not saying that you need to change who you are. No, that's not what I'm saying. But remember, you don't want to stick out for all the wrong reasons, right? So you have to kind of blend in a little bit so that you're not consistently, again, standing out for all the wrong reasons. Observe, listen, and ask questions. If they tell you something and it doesn't make sense, ask, right? It doesn't do you any harm to ask something. Digital etiquette. In our digitally connected world, much of our professional interactions happen online. Thus, mastering digital etiquette is just as important as navigating in-person settings. So let's start with our email communication. Your emails reflect your professionalism. A cluttered, unclear, overly casual email can be detrimental. Keep emails clear, concise, and polite. Use a professional greeting. Get straight to the point, and always proofread before sending. Remember, email is forever, so write accordingly. So email in itself is its own 90-minute presentation. But really quick, here are some things you want to keep in mind when sending an email. If it's your first interaction with someone, let's say they are a prospect, they are a VIP client, and it's the very first time that you are reaching out in that email sequence. You don't want to say, hey, right? Even if that's your relationship, it would be hello, depending on how formal this may be. You may even need to say dear, and then the person's name. And then you're going to start out with something, so I hope this is fun. Well, hope you're having a great week. You hope this year started out with a bang for you, something along those lines. I am writing to, and then let them know what it is. And then don't just write an email and it's just a bunch of words on a screen. You want to make it easy, because how many of you emails, especially when they're really long, right? I know, I just kind of skim. So if there's something important in that email, and you have to put context in there, make sure that you put paragraphs, make sure you use bullet points. You may even want to bold certain things, so that this way, if, let's say I did read it all the way through, and I need to reference back, I know what the address is because it's bold and it's in the bullet points. I know what time it is because it's bold and it's part of the bullet points. So you want to make it easy for the person to read, especially if you want them to reply back. Yeah, so you want to make it easy for them. Number 2, social media conduct. Your social media profiles can be a double-edged sword, showcasing your professional achievements or revealing unprofessional behavior. So number 1, LinkedIn, right? In business, LinkedIn is your best friend. LinkedIn is an extension of your resume, right? You're not going to put on your resume. That's not a place to not brag, but kind of boast your achievements. You may put like the highlight 2015 XYZ, 2018, I won this award. Sure. But on your profile, you can go into more details. You can even, you can do a pose, you can do pictures. That's where everybody goes. I'm sure you do too. When you're meeting someone or you're thinking of hiring someone, you also go to social media. You also go to LinkedIn. So you want to make sure that you have a professional and that it is filled out. So the other platform, so that's LinkedIn. So let's talk about the other platforms really quick. Like X, formerly known as Twitter, IG, TikTok. I know I've gone to events, and if they don't want a business card, they'll just say, show me, what's your IG handle, and then, or pull up your IG QR code, and then we will exchange. They'll start to follow me, and right in front of me, they're scrolling and they're looking. Oh, and they're doing this. So this is why I said earlier, you want to make sure that your online persona is in line with, how you appear in person when you're with somebody. So those are the things you want to keep in mind. And it still baffles me that people will still get a little, they don't understand why they're either let go or why they're told something because somebody went and looked on, somebody from their employment went online and saw what they post, and it's not in line with our company values. I've heard of stories where some people got into, I think it was Harvard, and they got into a Facebook group, and some not so nice things were said. And I think it was like somewhere between 4 and 8. Their offers to Harvard, which is a very difficult school, as you all know, to get into, their offers for attendance were rescinded because of some stupid comments that they made in a Facebook group. So, to just think twice before you put stuff out on social media, because it can, and even if it's, oh, but mine is private, and I know you've heard this time and time again, but yet time and time again, it still happens. So just a friendly reminder. And last but not least here, video conferencing etiquette. So with remote work becoming more common, right? Video calls are often the first face-to-face impression you make. I've heard now with interviews, before you even go in person, if you even go in person, the first interview is going to be on the phone. So again, you want to make sure that you're sitting up straight. You're not slouching, because that's how your voice will come out. Back in the day, and I'm talking like back in the day, they would, for anybody whose job was answering phones, they would put a mirror in front of them to make sure that they were always smiling, because that smile actually comes through with the voice. So if you're on a job interview and it's call number one and it's a phone call, maybe you might want to consider doing that. Remember to smile, maybe put like a little smiley face on a post-it so that you're smiling, because that changes your voice. Now we're on job interview number 2 or meeting number 2, whatever the meeting is, and it's online. Again, test it out beforehand, sit up straight, don't put your back on the back of the chair. It changes your posture completely. So things you want to keep in mind when it comes to your posture. And everything else you already know. Test your technology beforehand, choose a neutral background, dress as you would for an in-person meeting. Again, just a reminder, this we should already know. Navigating professional pitfalls requires awareness, adaptability, and a proactive approach to personal and professional development. Never stop learning. By being mindful of the common errors that professionals make and mastering the nuances of digital etiquette, you can avoid the pitfalls that catch many unaware. So, in conclusion, professional attire. We've learned that the right attire is more than just clothing. It's a form of communication. It speaks about your respect for yourself and the respect with others around you. It's attention to detail and even our personality. Number 2, confident body language. Our journey has shown us that the power of posture and the significance of nonverbal cues. We've seen how an upright stance, purposeful gestures, and genuine expressions can convey confidence, competence, and approachability. And number 3, navigating professional pitfalls. We've charted a course through common professional pitfalls, emphasizing the importance of digital etiquette, the value of continuous learning, and the necessity of understanding and integrating into workplace culture. So thank you for embarking on this journey with us today. As we move forward, you want to arm yourselves with the insights and strategies that we've shared. So you are going to get this. It is being recorded, so you will be able to reference this and continue the learning. If one thing piqued your interest here today, maybe do a deep dive of learning on just that one. And with the power of YouTube and so many other, the library has wonderful programs. I'm not saying that you need to work on all 3 of these, today. If you need to, change up all 3, but take just one thing that you learned today and really deep dive. Maybe it's updating your wardrobe. Maybe it's time to update that wardrobe. And maybe, you save for that one pair of nice slacks and a jacket, or maybe you go start heading up consignment stores, or maybe that is something that you do already, but you never thought of looking for professional attire that can be your staple for years and years and years to come. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but I have clothes that are 20 years old because they were good quality that I invested in. The only reason why I don't wear them well is because they don't fit. But I can give them to somebody else because they still look great. I take care of them. They go to cleaners, etc. So may your professional image shine bright, reflecting your dedication, competence, and your unique personal brands. Remember, everything that we talked about today, you don't have to change who you are. Please don't change who you are. There's no reason to do that. You just may need to adjust a little bit. But remember, work is such a small portion of your day. Once you leave work, you can be 100% yourself. But when it comes to work, perception is reality. So just keep that in mind. Thank you again. You can follow. I always give tips on Instagram and on YouTube. You can find me here. If anything here, interest and you want like clarification on anything, please feel free to email me. I'm always happy to answer any questions. And with that, I thank you very much for being here today. Good luck on your professional journey.
Oh, thank you, Jules. Let's get to some of the questions here because we got some questions in the Q&A portion. And if anybody out there still has questions that are on your mind that you haven't typed in yet, please put them into the Q&A and we'll try to get to them today. So the first question is, how necessary are thank you notes? And if necessary, when should you send them?
Okay, so thank you notes, yes. So, and even not just thank you notes, also maybe good. I have my timer, so hold on. Okay, I put on my timer because I can talk and talk and talk. So thank you notes are necessary. So all the time, even if it's just a quick email. However, this is where I challenge you. If you want to differentiate yourself, let's say it's a job interview from your competition, a handwritten note is a way to go. And I know some people will say, nope, 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 nope. I've only heard of one instance where somebody said, oh no, we don't, our boss doesn't like them. So if you hear that, then of course, then don't send anything. But to this day, I still hear, oh, I love when people send, thank you notes. It shows that they care. It shows that they're up, that they've taken that they've somehow either, whether they've taken an etiquette class, whether they've gone online and searched it, that they are showing that shows them that they are actually invested in learning. So how soon should it be sent? So let's say you're going to, let's go back to that job interview and you're going to send a handwritten note, but the other people interviewing send an email thank you note. So your snail mail is going to get there a little bit later. So you want to send it out immediately. Do the email first. You want it because you want to send it out immediately and then still follow up with that handwritten note. When you go to networking events, you can also do the same thing with good to meet you. It was great meeting you. I enjoyed speaking to you. Again, send it by email right away that night if you can, if not the next morning, and then follow up the next day with a handwritten and then pop it in the mail. So immediately.
Sounds good. And the next question is, hi, I had surgery for a broken foot long ago, but I still cannot wear closed-toed shoes. I have formal sandals. How do I explain that? And do I need to?
No, you shouldn't have to. However, maybe you don't have to like schedule a meeting, but in passing, you can say something. Especially, let's say somebody looks at your foot. You know that look when they kind of like do this, and you can say, "Oh, I know." I mean, and then just speak about it. Yes, because due to my surgery, I cannot wear. I miss wearing closed-toed shoes. Like again, closed-toed shoes. That business formal. Unless that is part of your company culture, rarely do people dress like that anymore. So that's the good thing, but you can get away with it.
So don't make it a big deal, basically. Just kind of
Do not make it
mention
a
it
big deal. There's no reason.
and then move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't. Yeah. You don't want to be known for the woman who or the male who has a broken foot again. No. Just just do what you need to do. Head up. You did nothing wrong. Head up, shoulders back. And then if you get that look, or maybe you want to tell your manager that because due to this is how I am. That's it. End of discussion. Let it go.
And there's kind of a similar question. What do you recommend for shoes for ladies who cannot wear closed-toed pumps due to medical reasons? I see a trend of people wearing sneakers with suits. Would it be unprofessional? So that's kind of two questions. One is, what do you
Yes.
recommend for women who can't wear closed-toed pumps? And the second is sneakers with suits. Thoughts?
Yes. Yes. So, I actually, during Women's Month, I go to a conference every single year. And all of the women, all the workers for this organization have, always dressed professionally. They always wear the dresses, the clothes, all the time. This year, though, which I thought was kind of really cool, they still wore professional, their suits, their dresses, etc., but they all had really nice sneakers on. They didn't have the running shoes. That was not allowed. But because I do a dining etiquette for them, so I was talking to them about that. I said, hey, I noticed here that people are wearing sneakers, the nice sneakers, and they go, yeah, that we were allowed to because of all the running around that we do. So okay, yeah, because right now that is the trend, right? You still look professional, you still got everything else, but you have on a nice pair of sneakers. So if you can't wear heels or closed toe shoes, there's plenty of nice, slightly open toe shoes that you could wear. If that's not going to work for you, then you want to wear a nice pair of sneakers. Again, going back to your higher up and talking to them and saying, hey, I know we have this coming up and I know this is the dress code, but because of this, it's not possible. Would it be okay if I wore this?
Mhm.
And then they will tell you yes or no. But again, if you just do it without saying anything, you're going to get that look, and then it's going to that trickle down effect, right? Someone's going to say something to someone else, to someone else, to someone else. But if you've already nipped it in the bud before it even became an issue, oh yeah, she came and she told me. Done.
Well, what are your tips regarding fingernails?
Ah, okay. So and don't get me wrong, I love my red nails. However, depending if you're going on a job interview, if you are going for a client meeting and that they are potential, you're in sales and it's a potential, uh, big amount, right? You always want to err in the side of conservative. Be conservative, something neutral, something short. Um, but this is where you want to do research into your clients. If they're a little bit more cutting edge, if it's a little bit more of an artsy, then you might get away with a little bit more color. I still wouldn't. So, again, knowing where you're going, if you're going to a job interview or to a meeting that's more tech, you're not going to go in that business formal, right? But you're still going to be conservative for that industry. If you're going to a business, to a attorney or something on more conservative side, then you definitely want to mind everything, because what your first job is to get the job. Once you get the job, you can kind of relax it down a little bit. So my answer is, sorry, that was a long long way around. Keep it short, keep them short, keep it neutral. And then if as you get into where if it's a job or that job that client, you want to be appropriate in that uniform for that person.
And then also, if following up on, we're going from hands down below to back to shoes. For women,
Mhm.
uh, you mentioned that a 2 or 3 inch heel is best. Is it okay
Yeah.
for a woman to wear a 1 inch heel? And then add-on question to that is it fine for taller women to wear smaller heels?
Yeah, that's fine. Again, that's just like the norm, the general, right? It's like a 2.5, 3 inch heel. And it's, because I've seen people who look great, but they wear high heels. It's a little bit higher than your 2.5 inch heel. They're not stilettos. They're
Mhm.
not that. So wear slightly lower heels. You can wear slightly higher heels, but the thing you want to make sure that they're not all jeweled out, that they don't that they're not screaming, look at me, look at my feet. You want people to look at you, right? You want people to hear what you have to say, not be, I love those shoes. Oh, I love those shoes. And keep looking down at your shoes. You're like, come back here. Come back here. I'm speaking, not my shoes. So you can do what makes you comfortable. Just keep it conservative. If you need to, again, if that's not the industry that you're in, then you don't need to. But again, if you're making the rounds and going on job interviews, you may want to buy that uniform that you put on for the job interviews or for those, again, back to that salesperson for those meetings. And then the rest of the time you dress as is. What makes you comfortable.
And then a quick question about eye contact. Can you name a few cultures that perceive direct eye contact as rude? This may be relevant because given the diverse population that comes into contact with this audience segment.
I'm sorry, what was the first part of the question?
Can you name a few cultures that perceive direct eye contact as rude?
Okay, yes. So in some Asian cultures, right? They will not, they have a hard time looking at you because that's not what they're used to. Some Middle Eastern cultures, some won't even shake a woman's hand. So again, this is where doing your deep dive. So once you know where you're going and you know who those players are, especially if there's international people who are going to be there, do your research on those cultures and their norms. If you're in an industry where that's all you do is work with internationals, from different countries, there's a book by Terry Ann Morrison, Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands.
Oh yeah.
And in there, it breaks down. So she has it's written down either by country, or there's a big book and it has all the countries in there. And it tells you, because some countries, being on time is a must. Other countries, if they say dinner's at 6, you're probably not going to eat until 8 and it's perfectly fine. Some countries are you take a gift. Others, you have to take a gift and it's wrapped in red. So, so if you're going to be working with a lot of various countries, part of your job is to immerse yourself in their culture and what their norms are.
And we have that book at the library, Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands. I'm going to post a link to the catalog. There's older editions, so just be wary when you we have an edition from 1994. So just keep that in mind, that some things may have changed in the last, 30 years. Jeez.
Yeah. So like for us, handshakes before lockdown, you had to shake hands. I mean, there was no and ifs or buts about it. Now, if you go somewhere and you don't shake hands, you can do a fist bump, you can do this, but it's in the body language. You never want to leave somebody hanging. So there's like the whole deal, with that. So get that. I would still get the book. I would read it and then just kind of, cross-reference a little bit.
And there's quite a few books in our catalog and also on our online resource like Libby or Hoopla, where they focus on specific countries, specifically business etiquette in specific places. So it's definitely an area where a little bit of research can go a long way.
Yeah. And if worst case scenario, contact the embassy, and ask them to kind of guide you. What do they recommend for guidance? And they will tell you. They'll help you out.
We're getting low on time here, so we're going to make a few more questions, if that's okay. So
Yes.
Can you comment on hair and makeup? Is it necessary? Is it okay to be clean and neat and maybe to have tinted moisture? So do you have to get your hair and makeup done before an interview, etc.?
If you don't wear makeup, I would never suggest you look like this, right? You put on a full face, because then it's gonna be like, well, wait, you're not the same person. You got to still be you. The only thing I will suggest is, yes, put on, a tint. I would maybe put on a little bit of concealer if you're not sleeping very well and you have something you need to cover. Maybe, you want to kind of have it like a neutral, also maybe like a little bit of powder. I would put something on my lips, a little bit of lip gloss. If you can, a little bit of mascara, just to open up your eyes and to, again, just to put a little bit of color. But I would never suggest that you put on a full face if you get that job, you're not going to do it every single day. But it doesn't hurt to have a little thing of lip gloss and just pop it on at least, in the morning, to just, to make you look a little bit more, to make it look a little bit more alive.
The next question is a little bit of a deep dive into style, and I like it. I really prefer a Mandarin collar conservative jackets to a typical lapelled blazer. Does this need to be an issue?
Cultural thing, then no. If it's just a personal preference thing, it depends where you're going. If it's just a networking event, or if your company doesn't have, like if it's not very clear, if it says just a suit, then you could get away with it. It just depends. It really depends on how formal an event and how rigid the rules are in your workplace. If it's just, like I said, if it's just that networking event, that's fine. Go ahead and wear it. But when they say this, and come in your business professional, from head to toe, that means, the lapel. That's what that means. And again, if there's ever a question, you can always ask your higher up. That's what they're there for. They're supposed, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. They'll tell you yes or no, like, oh, you can, but if they're doing that, that means no. That means no.
All right, let's maybe two more questions. We had a couple of questions about shaking hands. You were just talking about it. So
Yeah.
for one person, their hands are very sensitive, so they get a little uncomfortable about shaking hands. How do you approach when you are uncomfortable with shaking hands? How do you approach it? And then we had another question that said, is shaking hands still a thing after an interview? Should I wait for the interviewer to make the move first? So let's combine these questions together because I think
Sure.
there might be some similarity here. So let's say you're in a situation where you feel really uncomfortable about shaking hands there could be various reasons for that. And the interview is done and you in your mind there's this big question, should I shake hands? How do I deal with it if they reach out their hand? You know, so let's say the interview
Okay.
reaches out their hand to you, and then what do you do?
Okay. So you don't, again, because of, where our world has gone, shaking hands is not shaking hands rather is not the end of the world like it used to be where it would be like, oh my god, that said so much, and it did say so much about you, but not greeting a person and with something is the faux pas. So let's go to number one first. So if you don't want to shake hands for the person who had the sensitive the hands, you
Mhm.
still have to greet someone, right? You still have to do that. But like I said earlier, you don't want to leave somebody hanging. So you don't walk across the room with your arm out like this, right? So when you get to like maybe like this far apart from each other, your hand will naturally go up. So if you're okay with the fist pump, then do that. So as your hand comes up, then put it up so that this way I see, okay, in my mind, I know, oh, okay, good. I'm good there. Let's say you're not good, you're no contact whatsoever. So again, when you get to about right here, you're going to, do something like this, do something like this, and then just, it's so good to see you again. Some kind like a nod again, so that this way I put my arm up and then you do, oh no, I don't touch hands. I don't know where you've been. You don't want to do that to somebody either. You don't want to leave me hanging. So it's up to you to set the tone with your body language on what you are comfortable with, and don't leave somebody hanging. For that job interview, yes, you generally want to mirror the person that is interviewing you. So if they stand up, it was good seeing you, and they're pointing you to the door, well, it was great, good to meet you again, nod, and then you go. But if they start to go up, try not to shake hands over a table. That's a faux pas. You don't want to do that. So you want to stand there. Maybe he or she, didn't stand up and you're expecting them to do this, but
Mhm.
maybe he or she knows that you're not supposed to do that. So just give it a second. Maybe they're coming around the desk to shake your hand, because that
Mhm.
is the way you properly end a meeting. So give it a second. Don't automatically assume that no, they don't want to. And then if they just say, well, it was good to meet you, and they do this, then nod your head.
Mhm. And if they reach their hand out, do you just say, "Oh, nice to meet you," or are you able to say? Is it okay to say, "I'm sorry, I'm a little uncomfortable shaking hands"?
You really shouldn't, but this is
Mhm.
what I would do. If they put their hand out one time, I would do this.
Okay.
Don't want any contact whatsoever. I'm talking for that
Mhm.
person who doesn't
Yeah.
want any contact. This is what I'm still not going to shake your hand,
Mhm.
but I'll do this.
Okay, so
Because
it's a little
that's
bit, yeah.
not so much of a diss as
Mhm.
this, like, because
Yeah.
that, right? I mean, think about it. If somebody did that to you, what would you be thinking?
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think if they were like, then I would, I would wonder. But if somebody actually, if I was in an interview and somebody said, I was in an interview and somebody said, I'm a little uncomfortable shaking hands, I go, okay, cool. Because it
Yeah.
seems like
So,
after the pandemic, it seems like a lot less fraught where somebody says that.
and it also depends on who into. So also take into consideration how it went. If somebody was very rigid and old school and conservative, and very like a baby boomer, where business etiquette was part of their schooling. I mean, it's ingrained. These are still the people who will stand up when a woman enters the room, because again, I mean, it's just part of their skin. They're not
Mhm.
doing it to be disrespectful. It's just part of their skin. So I would also take into consideration. But yeah, like if somebody said, I don't shake hands, I would, yeah, I'm with you. Like, okay, no big deal.
Cool.
But
Good to meet you.
there are some people who it is a big deal for.
Mhm.
So you have to trust your instinct. Always trust your instinct. Your instinct will
Mhm.
never, will never be wrong.
So there are a few more questions left, but I think we have time for one more. Let's do the best background for Zoom meeting. Color or background or blur? What do you think?
So if you do a blur, so like yours right here, I mean, you can definitely see your body with the background. There are some backgrounds where they're so light, and maybe because of what they're wearing, they look as one. So if you're going to, and I think your contrast is because you're wearing dark and
Mhm.
it's purple. So that's why your body actually shows, through, and you don't look like
Mhm.
you're part of a screen. So if you live somewhere and you can't do like a background, I would make sure that I'm contrasted to my blurred background. Or so like right now, like my background is the backyard, but because of the
Mhm.
sun, otherwise I would have left it open. But because of
Mhm.
the sun, so that's something else you got to take into consideration. I had to close the drapes.
Mhm.
So something like this, a blurred background is fine, but make sure that you wear something that you're going to stand out and not be a part of this. So that every now and then you see your fingers coming out of the slide.
That makes sense. All right. Well, Jules, thank you so much for taking the time to answer the questions. We didn't get to all the questions, but if folks, your questions are still outstanding, feel free to email. In the follow-up email, I'm going to send a copy of the presentation. I'll send a link to the video, which I'm going to post on YouTube, and Jules's email will also be CC'd there. So if you need to ask her your question, feel free to email and ask your question. Once again, Jules, thank you so much for this informative presentation. As always, I learned something new and will continue learning. And to the folks out there, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you. And if you have a moment, I do always ask for folks to fill out our post-event survey. I'm going to post a link to that in the chat. And if you have, it's only like 3 questions. So if you have a couple of minutes, please do that. And with that, have a good day and see you next time.